Hello, fellow gamers! There is something truly magical about pixel art. When paired with the limitless creativity of indie developers, you get some of the most memorable gaming experiences out there. First up is Sanabi, an absolutely exhilarating dystopian action platformer that deserves your full attention. You step into the boots of a legendary retired veteran, drawn back into action for one last personal mission. Armed with a signature chain-hook prosthetic arm, navigation becomes a fast-paced dance. You will be swinging over massive ravines, zipping up neon-lit skyscrapers, and dashing through bullets and laser traps with breathless precision. The pixel art here is drop-dead gorgeous, capturing a grim cyberpunk future bursting with vibrant neon contrasts and smooth-as-silk animations. It is a brilliant masterclass in momentum, offering an adrenaline-fueled ride that feels just as good to play as it looks. Shifting from high-flying action to the tense bureaucracy of Papers, Please. This is a modern classic that proves pixel art can evoke profound tension and emotional weight. Set in the fictional dystopian communist state of Arstotzka, your name has been pulled in the labor lottery. Your new reality? Working as an immigration inspector at the Grestin border checkpoint. The gameplay is deceptively simple but incredibly stressful. You must inspect documents, look for discrepancies, and decide who enters, who gets turned away, and who gets arrested. As the days progress, the rules grow increasingly complex and tyrannical. Every mistake costs you money, directly threatening the survival of your sick family waiting in a bleak Class 8 dwelling. It is a thought-provoking simulation where every pixel serves a grim, unforgettable narrative purpose. Glory to Arstotzka. If you have a fondness for the grim, dark aesthetic of late 90s, Halls of Torment is going to absolutely captivate you. This horde survival roguelite perfectly channels the nostalgic, pre-rendered look of classic Diablo, but fuses it with addictive, modern bullet heaven gameplay. You will descend into the deepest pits of the underworld, facing down thousands of terrifying monsters at once. Success is all about positioning, choosing the right upgrades, and building out a growing cast of unique heroes. As you survive the onslaught, you will uncover powerful treasures and magical trinkets that allow you to create utterly broken builds to vanquish the lords waiting at the end. It is dark, incredibly satisfying, and captures that vintage pixel grit beautifully. Core Keeper, a brilliant blend of cozy sandbox survival and subterranean adventure. Imagine the mining and crafting loop of Terraria met with the overhead perspective and charming, cozy aesthetics of Stardew Valley, and you are halfway there. Dropped into a massive, procedurally generated cavern system, you are tasked with uncovering the mystery of an ancient, glowing core. The gameplay loop here is masterfully paced. You will mine into the dark to harvest rare resources, farm glowing crops, hatch unique pets, and construct an expansive underground base. But this cave isn't empty. It's teeming with diverse biomes, mysterious ancient structures, and massive, terrifying Titan bosses that will test your combat skills and gear preparation. Best of all, you can tackle the dark alone or team up with friends. It is an underground world you won't want to leave. Broforce, an absolute explosion of 90s action movie nostalgia wrapped in a glorious, completely destructible pixel art package. This side-scrolling run-and-gun is a pure ode to freedom and excessive firepower. You control an underfunded but hilariously overpowered military organization composed entirely of thinly veiled pastiches of classic action heroes, from Rambro and Brohard to the Brominator. The gameplay is fast, chaotic, and incredibly fun. Every single block of the map can be blown to smithereens, which makes for some brilliantly unpredictable firefights as you rescue hostages and liberate territories from terrorists and alien threats. It is loud, it is chaotic, and it perfectly encapsulates the joyous, high-energy fun of classic arcade shooters. Hotline Miami, an absolute landmark of the indie scene. This top-down, high-octane action masterpiece is overflowing with raw brutality, hard-boiled gunplay, and skull-crushing close combat. Set in an alternate, neon-drenched 1989, you take on the role of an unnamed protagonist executing bloody hits against the Russian mafia at the behest of mysterious phone messages. The game operates at a breakneck pace, where both you and your enemies die in a single hit. Every level becomes a high-stakes, fast-paced puzzle of momentum, split-second decisions, and lethal choreography. Backed by a legendary, thumping synthwave soundtrack and a surreal, psychedelic visual presentation, it is a sensory overload that grips you from the very first frame and refuses to let go. Noita, a magical action roguelite that takes the phrase pixel perfect to a literal, mind-blowing extreme. Set in a punishing, procedurally generated world, every single pixel on your screen is physically simulated. This means wood burns, ice melts, metals conduct electricity, and pools of toxic sludge can be neutralized with water. You play as a witch exploring deep underground caverns, using a deeply intricate wand-building system to chain together chaotic, self-created magical spells. The sheer level of emergent gameplay here is unmatched. One minute you are a tactical genius melting through obstacles, the next, a chaotic misfire causes a massive chain reaction that sets the entire screen on fire. It is brilliant, incredibly deep, and undeniably addictive. Rain World, a grueling yet mesmerizing survival platformer that boasts one of the most uniquely alive ecosystems ever put into a video game. You play as a nomadic slug cat, a creature that is simultaneously a nimble predator to smaller fauna and a fragile snack to the massive, terrifying beasts of the land. What makes this game truly remarkable is its use of procedurally generated, physics-based animation, which gives the pixelated wildlife an eerie, lifelike unpredictability. You must brave the bleak, industrial wastes to hunt for food before devastating, crushing rains sweep across the map. It is a difficult experience that doesn't hold your hand, forcing you to learn, adapt, and respect a world that genuinely feels alive and indifferent to your survival. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, the definitive masterpiece of modern retro design. This collection brings together all 5 games in the epic saga, standing as a glorious love letter to the 8-bit era. Yacht Club Games didn't just copy old-school looks, they perfected them, using a brilliant pixel art style that captures the nostalgic warmth of Nintendo NES while introducing smooth, fluid modern mechanics. You will dig, blast, slash, and bash your way through a fantastical world filled with incredibly imaginative levels, memorable bosses, and world-class platforming action. Each campaign offers a completely distinct playstyle, making this a massive package bursting with charm, flawless level design, and a phenomenal soundtrack. It is an absolute must-play for anyone who appreciates pixel perfection. Streets of Rogue, a brilliant top-down roguelite that throws you into randomly generated cities and turns the chaos to 11. If you can imagine the fast-paced action of Nuclear Throne, blended with the player freedom of Deus Ex, and the absolute anarchy of classic GTA, you're close to understanding this chaotic masterpiece. The game acts as a bite-sized immersive sim. You are given a set of objectives to complete in each neighborhood, but how you finish them is entirely up to you. You can play as a sneaky hacker, a silver-tongued gorilla, a vampire, or a heavily armed soldier. Whether you choose to fight, hack, or completely bribe your way through the city, the gameplay and pixelated mayhem ensure that no 2 runs ever play out the same way. Celeste, an absolute masterpiece that stands as one of the greatest platformers ever made. You help Madeline survive her inner demons on her journey to the summit of the treacherous Celeste Mountain. Developed by the creators of Towerfall, the game features some of the tightest, most responsive controls in gaming history, making every jump, dash, and climb feel perfectly precise. You will uncover hidden secrets and slowly piece together the mystery of the mountain. What truly elevates Celeste is how its punishing gameplay beautifully mirrors Madeline's internal struggle with anxiety and depression. Backed by a gorgeous, colorful pixel aesthetic and a deeply emotional soundtrack, it is a touching and triumphant journey. The Last Spell, a tactical RPG with heavy roguelite mechanics that turns defensive warfare into a thrilling, high-stakes art form. In a world devastated by a magical apocalypse, you are tasked with defending the last bastion of humanity. By day, the game plays like a city builder. You will carefully manage resources, heal your squad of heroes, and rebuild your battered city defenses. But when night falls, the game transforms into an intense, tactical battlefield. You must use magic, strategy, and brute force to exterminate massive hordes of fiendish monsters trying to destroy the central magic circle. The isometric pixel art is wonderfully gritty and detailed, capturing the grim, apocalyptic atmosphere and the sheer, chaotic scale of the nightly onslaught. Stardew Valley, a modern masterpiece that single-handedly revitalized the farming simulation genre. Armed with nothing but hand-me-down tools and a handful of coins, you leave the corporate grind behind to reclaim your grandfather's old, overgrown farm plot. What follows is an incredibly rich, open-ended journey where you learn to live off the land, clear the fields, raise livestock, and grow a thriving homestead. But the real magic lies beyond your fences. Pelican Town is filled with charming characters to build relationships with, alongside seasonal festivals to attend and dangerous mines to explore. Its timeless, vibrant pixel art and soothing soundtrack wrap you in a warm blanket of pure, cozy nostalgia. It is a legendary indie achievement that you can easily sink hundreds of hours into. Into the Breach, a masterclass in tactical design from the creators of FTL. This turn-based strategy game strips the genre down to its absolute purest essentials, presenting you with an 8x8 grid where every single move counts. You control a squad of powerful, time-traveling mechs sent from the future to save humanity from a subterranean alien threat known as the Vec. What makes this game so brilliant is its perfect information system. The game tells you exactly what the enemy plans to do on their next turn. Your job isn't just to kill them, but to cleverly push, block, and manipulate their positioning to protect civilian skyscrapers and maximize damage. Its clean, sharp pixel art ensures the battlefield is always perfectly readable, creating a tense, chess-like puzzle game that is utterly addictive. Vampire Survivors, the phenomenal casual gothic horror roguelite that single-handedly spawned an entire subgenre. The premise is brilliantly simple. You choose a character, step onto an open field, and automatically attack as you attempt to survive until the 30-minute mark. Your only job is to move, collect experience gems, and choose your upgrades wisely. What starts as a modest skirmish against a few bats quickly snowballs into an absolute spectacle of pure chaos. You will find yourself running through a literal wall of thousands of night creatures, surrounded by a swirling vortex of your own projectile weapons. The deliberately archaic, retro-style sprites are charmingly old-school, hiding a deeply addictive gameplay loop that makes you feel like an unstoppable powerhouse. Katana Zero, an incredibly stylish action platformer that delivers pure adrenaline. You play as a katana-wielding assassin who can manipulate time, utilizing a drug called Chronos to slow down the world around him. The catch? Both you and your enemies die in a single, brutal hit. This creates a high-stakes gameplay loop where every room is a lethal puzzle. You will slash through bullets, dash past traps, and deflect gunfire right back at your foes in a fluid, acrobatic display. The pixel art here is magnificent, overflowing with grimy cyberpunk tones, flashing neon lights, and incredibly detailed character animations. Combined with a gripping psychological narrative and a synthwave soundtrack, it is an absolute rush from start to finish. Megabonk, a delightfully hectic survival roguelike that leans heavily into clearing a screen full of monsters. If you love the addictive, automated combat of games like Vampire Survivors, but want something that puts a heavy emphasis on explosive build variety and massive loot hauls, this is a title you cannot afford to miss. You will smash your way through endless, relentless waves of strange creatures, picking up experience points and randomized loot to scale your power to absurd heights. With a massive roster of unlockable characters, each having completely unique abilities, and dozens of items to discover, the potential for crazy, broken synergies is limitless. Its clean, vibrant retro sprites perfectly capture the energy of an arcade on overdrive. Blasphemous, a punishing, ultra-violent action platformer that blends tight Metroidvania exploration with intense Souls-like combat. Set in the nightmare world of Substodia, a land cursed by a twisted divine force known only as the Miracle, you step into the pointed helmet of the Penitent One. As the sole survivor of a massacred brotherhood, you are trapped in an endless cycle of death and rebirth, wielding a sword forged from guilt itself to break your eternal damnation. What truly elevates this title is its unparalleled art direction. The game delivers an astonishingly dark, gothic aesthetic heavily inspired by Spanish religious iconography and folklore. The pixel art here is masterfully detailed, resulting in melancholic landscapes, grotesque enemy designs, and savage, spine-chilling execution animations that emphasize the game's brutal difficulty. It is a masterpiece of dark fantasy that is as atmospheric as it is challenging. Crypt of the Necrodancer, a brilliant and award-winning fusion of a hardcore dungeon-crawling roguelike and a rhythmic dance game. The concept here is entirely unique. Everything in the world moves strictly to the beat of the music. To survive, you must sync your directional inputs to the rhythm, moving, attacking, and dodging skeleton hordes and singing bosses in perfect time with the track. It turns traditional, grid-based tactical combat into a high-energy dance where split-second decision-making is key. Backed by an absolutely legendary electronic soundtrack by Danny Baranowski, or the option to use your own MP3 collection, the rhythm completely consumes you. The sharp, vibrant pixel art is expressive, with characters and enemies literally grooving to the beat. It is a wildly creative and highly addictive. Terraria, an absolute titan of the sandbox genre and one of the best-selling video games of all time. While it often draws surface-level comparisons to 2D Minecraft, it rapidly evolves into something entirely its own. An action-packed RPG adventure bursting with literal thousands of items, weapons, and accessories. You are dropped into a procedurally generated world with just a few basic tools, challenged to dig deep into cavernous expanses, gather raw materials, and build a thriving city to house helpful allies. The progression loop here is masterfully executed. Exploration leads to treasure, which leads to better gear, which prepares you to face eldritch bosses. Defeating specific threats permanently changes your world, unlocking hard mode, a shift that introduces tougher biomes, new materials, and intense magical threats. Whether you play solo or build massive arenas with friends in multiplayer, its classic 16-bit sprite aesthetic hides a game of near infinite scale. Sea of Stars, a breathtaking turn-based RPG crafted as a deeply passionate love letter to 90s classics like Chrono Trigger. It tells the grand emotional story of two children of the solstice who must combine the celestial powers of the sun and moon to perform eclipse magic, the only force capable of fending off the horrific, monstrous creations of an evil alchemist known as the Fleshmancer. While it embraces the nostalgic warmth of golden-era RPGs, it entirely sheds their clunky frustrations. Combat is dynamic and engaging, featuring active, timed button presses to boost damage or block incoming strikes. Navigating the world feels incredibly modern and fluid, letting you vault off ledges, swim, and climb seamlessly. Visually, the game is a triumph. It boasts some of the most stunning, vibrant pixel art and dynamic lighting effects ever seen in the gaming industry. Enter the Gungeon, a spectacular bullet-hell dungeon crawler that manages to be both a challenging roguelike and an absolute love letter to firearms-themed puns. You control a band of regretful misfits, each determined to shoot, loot, dodge roll, and table flip their way through a shifting labyrinth. Their ultimate goal? To reach the lowest floor and claim the Gungeon's legendary treasure, a gun that can literally kill the past. The gameplay is a masterclass in tight twin-stick shooter design. The screen frequently fills with dazzling patterns of enemy fire, forcing you to utilize your invincible dodge roll or kick over tables for makeshift cover. What keeps the game endlessly engaging is its staggering arsenal of hundreds of unique weapons and items, ranging from standard pistols to absurd artifacts like a gun that shoots literal lowercase letters or a beehive. Its crisp, fast-paced pixel art keeps the chaotic bullet hell readable and incredibly satisfying. Death Must Die, a brilliant fusion of roguelite action that takes the addictive, screen-clearing fun of Vampire Survivors and injects it with the gritty, item-driven depth of classic Diablo. You play as a band of daring heroes descending into the Netherrealm with one ultimate, seemingly impossible goal: to track down and slay Death himself. To survive the relentless hordes of minions, the gods of Olympus grant you divine powers. You will choose from a pantheon of blessings like Zeus's chain lightning or Ares' doom effects to create game-breaking synergistic builds. What truly sets this title apart is its deep gear system. You collect randomized loot with varying rarities to permanently outfit your heroes. The beautifully detailed isometric pixel art gives the dark, apocalyptic arenas a wonderful retro-gothic flair that makes every hack-and-slash sweep feel incredibly impactful. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, a high-energy beat-em-up born from the powerhouse partnership of Tribute Games and Dotemu, the brilliant minds behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. This planet-hopping side-scroller throws you directly into a star-spanning war against the insectoid Annihilation Wave, led by the tyrannical Annihilus. From the bustling streets of New York City to the eerie, dark depths of the Negative Zone, you are tasked with saving the entire Marvel universe. The gameplay brilliantly evolves the traditional arcade brawler formula by introducing the innovative Cosmic Swap tag team system. You choose 2 superheroes for each stage and can switch between them instantly, opening the door for massive, creative juggle combos and devastating team-up attacks. Boasting a striking, full-color pixel art direction inspired by iconic 90s comic book eras and a roaring soundtrack, it is a magnificent tribute to classic arcade brawlers that supports couch or online co-op. Octopath Traveler II, a spectacular turn-based JRPG that takes the highly acclaimed foundation of the 2018 original and refines it into an absolute masterpiece. Set in the sprawling, industrially evolving world of Celestia, the game allows you to choose from 8 brand new protagonists, each hailing from a different walk of life, ranging from a vengeful scholar to an idealistic merchant. You will follow their completely distinct, beautifully written individual narratives, which seamlessly weave together toward a grand and cohesive finale. The game's signature HD 2D visual style, which brilliantly fuses nostalgic, detailed 16-bit pixel art characters with gorgeous 3D landscapes and dynamic lighting, reaches breathtaking new heights here. Mechanically, the break and boost combat system returns, bolstered by the addition of unique latent power ultimate abilities that can completely turn the tide of battle. With a newly introduced day and night cycle that alters character abilities and town layouts on the fly, it is an essential adventure for classic RPG fans. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, a triumphant arcade beat-em-up that serves as the ultimate love letter to the iconic 1987 animated series. This spectacular brawler reunites Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael alongside allies like Splinter, April O'Neil, and Casey Jones as they kick shell across New York City to foil the latest sinister plot hatched by Shredder and Krang. The gameplay honors legendary arcade classics like Turtles in Time while introducing fluid, modernized mechanics, including radical dodge rolls, aerial combos, and unique special attacks for each character. Visually, the game is an absolute masterpiece of full-color pixel art, bursting with gorgeous, fluid character animations and expressive backgrounds. Backed by a phenomenal soundtrack, it offers some of the finest chaotic couch or online co-op action available today. Ball Pit, an incredibly inventive title that mashes together retro brick-breaking physics, high-stakes roguelite survival, and cozy base-building mechanics. You descend into a dangerous pit, using high-velocity, ricocheting balls to batter down dense hordes of incoming enemies. As you clear waves, you can fuse your balls together to create increasingly chaotic, high-damage projectiles that bounce wildly across the screen. The riches and materials you gather from your successful runs into the pit are brought back to the surface to expand your homestead. Building up your base allows you to generate passive resources, unlock powerful global upgrades, and recruit a roster of unique heroes, each bringing distinct abilities to your next descent. Its crisp pixel art and satisfying physics make every single bounce feel incredibly impactful. Dave the Diver, a delightfully charming single-player adventure RPG that balances 2 completely different gameplay loops into one addictive experience. By day, you dive into the ever-changing depths of the mysterious Blue Hole, a marine anomaly teeming with beautiful sea life and dangerous predators. You will spear fish, gather resources, and dodge ancient deep-sea hazards, all while managing your oxygen levels to safely make it back to the surface. When the sun sets, the game smoothly transitions into a sushi restaurant simulator. Alongside your quirky friends, you use the fresh catch from your daytime excursions to curate a high-end menu, pour green tea, and serve a bustling crowd of eccentric customers to fund your next big dive. The vibrant, gorgeous pixel art brings the aquatic wildlife and cozy restaurant atmosphere to life, creating a uniquely heartwarming loop where there is always just one more thing to do. Dead Cells, a brilliant and punishing masterpiece that popularized the Roguevania, a seamless blending of interconnected Metroidvania exploration with the high-stakes permadeath of a roguelite. You control a sentient mass of slime that inhabits decapitated corpses, forced to fight through a sprawling, ever-changing alchemical castle. There are no checkpoints here. Your mantra is simple and brutal: kill, die, learn, and repeat. The moment-to-moment gameplay stands out as some of the most fluid, responsive 2D combat ever designed. You will aggressively dash, parry with shields, and tear through castle keepers using a massive pool of unlockable swords, bows, and deployable traps. While a single mistake can instantly end your run, the precious cells you gather can be used to unlock permanent upgrades and weapons for your next attempt. The dark, atmospheric pixel art features striking neon highlights, ensuring that even amidst chaotic, blood-splattering skirmishes, every dodge and strike feels perfectly readable. Balatro, a hypnotically satisfying psychedelic poker roguelike that took the deck-building world entirely by storm. The premise is brilliantly simple. You play standard poker hands like flushes, full houses, and straights to score points and defeat the blind targets set before you. However, you quickly cast the traditional rules of poker aside as you buy illegal vouchers, modify your deck, and hunt for game-changing jokers. The true magic lies in those jokers. With 150 unique cards to discover, they alter the rules completely. Some multiply your score if you play specific suits, while others trigger outrageous combos that send your points skyrocketing into the millions. It turns a classic card game into a thrilling puzzle of scaling numbers and synergetic power trips. Visually, the game wraps itself in a striking, neon-drenched retro aesthetic, complete with a CRT monitor filter and hypnotic backdrops that perfectly match its addictive just one more run gameplay. That wraps up my ultimate pixel art showcase. From the brutal dungeons of Dead Cells to the addictive combos of Balatro, retro sprites are driving the industry's most innovative gameplay loops. Which game is your favorite? Drop a comment below, like and subscribe for more recommendations, and I will see you in the next one.